I did my first 100-minute endurance race on Le Mans Ultimate, and I'm gonna squeeze everything that I've learned into 10 minutes, and we're gonna talk about a little bit of the rain, how the car is affected by it, how my setup changes were actually very suiting for rain while I actually didn't know it, and how I went from P11 to P4 without not really knowing the Le Mans track. So let's get into it. So right upon this race starts, I'm gonna cut out a lot of pieces so we don't get this boring endurance race for 100 minutes, but we're gonna do it in 10 minutes. So at the race start, just know that I just don't know the Le Mans track, but I don't shy away from these races because I'm gonna learn 10 times more doing a race like this than doing practice sessions. So theirs was like a LMP or a hypercar that was, I don't know, he didn't start properly, whatever. But again, I'm taking a very cautious approach here. It's also gonna rain in this race, and I figured that I was going to create a soft car setup, which I'll explain later too. Which should help me in the chicanes and maybe the like acceleration traction. Now I don't know what happened here, but the Aston Martin was actually really slow on the straight. I don't know if that is a setup thing or just the car balancing thing. I don't know. They seem to be pretty the same. So yeah, we got the first people making the mistakes here. So again, I'm very much aware that I'm driving pretty slowly, but I'm already on P6, just being cautious. So this is still the first lap. By the way, if you want to know how far we are into this race, check the above, like the timer. It's 1 minute, 1 hour and 30 minutes. This BMW, he crashed in the beginning of the race. He was actually way quicker, so I just decided to let him go. I do feel that the BMWs might feel really overpowered. Maybe on Le Mans only, I don't know. Also, the setups that I built from the BMW was really simple to do. It's a very stable car. You can actually run the BMW with -2 wing. So before we get any further, I want to talk about a little bit about the Corvette and what setup changes that I did for this race, and then we'll continue this run. Now here you can see like pushing hard but then losing the position again. So over here I'm just overtaking him again, and then later we have him again overtaking me. There we go, goodbye. And yeah, so I was actually really afraid of him with like being so competitive. I mean, if you get hit, you get damaged, the race is over, yeah? So again, he was pushing as well, just let him go. Now let's talk about the setup and what I did to make it behave like it does. So this will also be the setup that you can use if you want to. Are you in open series, then you can use this. Let's have a look at what I did. Take over these values, 533, and I didn't find any pros to closing these off, but if you put them to close, then you get overheatage and whatever. Also fuel ratio, I don't know, really need to figure that out better. So what I did, I'm not really changing these values. I did know that my front brake blanking was too low or too high, so I need to increase that for the next time. I cut the front brakes got really hot at some point. Again, I'm not really sure. These are my settings that I used for the springs, and I found softer springs just work better in the rain. Also with the dampers, what I will explain about next, I added a 0.5 centimeter of packers to prevent pitch death. So this setup is still really freaking aggressive. You really need to consider your braking. You need to be really careful with your inputs. Now, these are pretty soft dampers, so or like they're more on the average. I like to have bump, and I like to have a little bit more rebound, and this is just basically what I'm doing. If it gets really slow track, then I will make it even lower. But I always keep 10 and 15, and these were my detached anti-roll bar, no toe, and a pretty like 60% front anti-roll bar, or no, excuse me, 40%-ish and detached, and obviously the lowest rear wing. Now, I found with the rain that a little bit of a softer springs made it quicker in the rain. And this is when you look at real car setup theory, you want to have a suspension that is more soft because you're pretty much driving slower. You're going to be relying more on mechanical grip if there's such a thing in rain, and less about the downforce. And you could really see in my pace that when the track was drying up, I had more issues keeping on being on pace than when it was raining, because when it was raining I was actually way quicker than everyone else. So it's kind of interesting to see. Obviously I need to do a lot more testing to figure out truly the difference, but sometimes I did also in different setup changes with the different car packs that I already created. That link is down below if you're interested. That when you have a stiff car on a smooth track with downforce, stiff suspension tends to thrive over a soft suspension. So really interesting, and yeah, again with different updates these things might change over time, but yeah, just also know that I'm on top of these things. I think they are very interesting. Let's move on to the race and see how I improved even more just by when the rain started. So let's go. And this Ferrari in front, he actually got like some sort of a mistake, so I don't know, it started raining, it started to get slippery, but I found that the Delta and the cars in front of me, they actually were struggling way more than me. And is this due to the setup changes that I did, or is it due that this car just really thrives in the rain? There's also things that I just don't know, but I did feel a lot of confidence. And in the rain, like, the rain looks nice when the track is getting wet and you see all the spray, that looks really good. But I think there's a lot more still to optimize in the rain for Le Mans Ultimate, because now it's raining on track and my tires are my rear tires are 90 degrees. Like, I don't know if that's really a slick tire, that it's possible to have so much rain. And also, I don't know if they can ever do this, but it rains on the whole track. Like, this track has like a massive distance, so can we have rain on one part of the track, on the other part of the track? I don't know. You can see that I'm struggling here, I'm slipping, like, so I'm going in for the wet tires. And later I will also say what might be a great turning point to go to wet tires or stay on dries. That I will explain later too. So again, I'm screwing around with the fuel ratio here. Now I increased it and I got more difference between the fuel and the virtual energy. And if you drop it, it gets closer by. But then I also don't really know what is the difference. Now again, with the rain, this looks really nice. I think that the drops on the windscreen can improve a lot, right? So I don't think that's really looking very nicely, but yeah. And also, like, he in the Mustang, he was faster than me on the dry track, but now it's wet and we're thriving. We're going faster and faster, and I think we're matching even race pace at this point, where beforehand the number one was actually like 3-4 seconds quicker in the qualifying lap. So that is something that's really interesting. Now again, I don't know if that's the car or the setup, but it felt great. Again, I have to really be cautious, so on P5, and also you got the multi-class, also something that is really interesting. It also gives a lot of potential for issues, and you can see this. I really need to think about these corners. Here we can be full throttle, but then keeping these closed lines. I found in Le Mans Ultimate that if you can take the shortest route on track, that will really give you proper lap time. Now, again, somebody else made a mistake and went into the barrier, so we gained another position. Now this is the position we're pretty much ending up with in the race, but there are some other things that happen and that I want to explain. So you can see here on the track, I don't know if you can see, it's slightly wet, and it seems to me that when it's still slightly wet, the wet tires are getting better. Now something interesting. There will always people will go on the medium tires when the track is clearing up, because it's not raining anymore and the track will dry up. But you can see on the delta on top that people who are on medium tires, you can look at their delta, and if they, it's kind of obvious, I know, but if you see that this delta of them increases, then we're not on the right on the medium tires as of yet. So you can see here on top, he is in the pit, so we're like, but then we start driving in the race and you can see if the delta drops. Now, if slightly wet track changes to damp, I think you should go to the slick tires. So that is something that I found, and at this stage the track is drying up, and I could also be like, I'm more like in no man's land at the moment. The front cars are not really getting faster, and the rear cars are not really like catching up. But the best thing about this race now is that when I started the qualifying, I was like 4 seconds off the pace, and I'm learning a lot from this race only. Yeah, the video that I make is just from this 100 minutes on this track, and I actually got to know the track also. Now, I saw at this point that the cars on medium tires were at the same pace. We also run almost out of fuel, so I thought this was a good moment to put on those used mediums again for the next stint. Right, so again, what I wanted to say is that although I did not do a lot of laps on Le Mans track, I'm actually now P3, and then when we come out of the pit, I think I lose a position or something, and we stay there. But just know that I was learning the track as I went, as I go. So I think it's a good idea to always do these races and be passive when you don't really know the track, because you're gonna learn it so much quicker. Now, I cut out a lot of stuff because this was basically me driving completely alone. If you liked this content, please hit that like button and let me know what you think of these kinds of videos. They're pretty easy to make, and check out the links in the description. Now, if you want to build your own car setups for Le Mans Ultimate, I highly recommend to watch this video next. This is how you do it from step 1 to step 2, and it's overall a really good guide for Le Mans Ultimate. Thanks for watching.